Okay, this is now video number 21. So I hope my audience enjoyed the recap in video number 20, and you're beginning to see that, yeah, all things are indeed new. And if you are someone who is undergoing a new birth with labor pains, a newborn infant longing for the unadulterated milk, it's actually going to be painful, giving up some of the things that you were previously convinced to believe. There's a large amount of humiliation that comes along with doing that. But after all, Satan really is misleading the entire inhabited earth. And certainly the former things that we were convinced to believe are a very large part of Satan's deception. Everything that we were previously convinced to believe, most of those things were taught to us in order for Satan to carry out his truly spectacular deception. And so if you really want to conquer Satan and inherit that blessing, we're going to have to give up the old and accept the new things that Jehovah is now doing, and make sure that we can see them. Because if we can't see these things, then it's going to be very difficult to see God's kingdom. So in this video, I'm going to teach you a few more new things that should eventually lead you to seeing that kingdom, if you can't see it already. So it would probably be a good idea now to read that scripture where Jesus Christ talked about the new wine. And you can find it in Luke chapter 5. And I'll start in verse 36. Listen to what Jesus Christ says about the new things. I am making all things new. Further, he went on to give an illustration to them. No one cuts a patch from a new outer garment and sews it onto an old outer garment. But if he does, then both the new patch tears away, and the patch from the new garment does not match the old. Everything you were previously convinced to believe, the new things won't match that. Do you understand the illustration? He goes on to give yet another illustration to make his point. Jesus Christ said, moreover, no one puts new wine into old wineskins. But if he does, then the new wine will burst the wineskins, and it will be spilled out, and the wineskins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, like a newborn infant, from a longing for the unadulterated milk belonging to salvation. That's important. So let me continue. No one that has drunk the old wine, no one that has drunk the old wine wants new. For he says, the old is nice. They like the things they were previously convinced to believe, and they think they're true. But what about you? Are you learning new things? So In the last video, I gave you quite a long list of some of the most important new things that you should now be understanding. And those new things don't match up. They do not match what we were all previously convinced to believe by the governing body of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, and also in all the rest of popular Christianity. So understand that all of those things we were previously convinced to believe are full of Satan's deceptions. And people like it. They like the old. They'd rather stick with the old than learn something new. So in this video, I intend to teach another new thing that the governing body of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has never really taught us. And you definitely can't hear popular Christian denominations asking the right questions, let alone giving an answer. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, teach another new thing. So, here's the new thing that I don't hear anyone in Christianity talking much about. And the governing body and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, I don't remember them speaking much about it. They alluded to it, but they actually didn't come right out and ask the question and give an answer. And this is all about which tribe do we belong to, or will we belong to? Because everyone that enters God's kingdom will belong to a tribe of Israel, right? But which tribe is it? And why don't I hear conversations about this in the Christian community? I never really heard conversations about it when I was a Jehovah's Witness, going to 5 meetings a week for years. And I never really heard them talk about which tribe we belong to. Because if we are entering into God's kingdom, we have to belong to a tribe, right? So, is that new? You ever thought about that? I don't hear anyone else talking about it. So, I'm convinced it's new. We all have to belong to a tribe if we're going to enter God's kingdom, right? So here, in Revelation chapter 7, where it talks about the 144,000, a very controversial topic, there's 12,000 out of each of 12 tribes. But then, here's the favorite part that the governing body and Watchtower Bible and Tract Society like to talk about. I'll read it for you. After these things, I saw, and look, a great crowd, which no man was able to number, out of all nations, and tribes, and peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne, and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes, white outer garments. And there were palm branches in their hands, and they keep on crying with a loud voice, saying, Salvation we owe to our God, who is seated on the Lamb, on the throne, who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb. So, which tribe is that? Because if this great crowd is entering into God's kingdom, it has to belong to a tribe. Which tribe? Put your answer down below. Tell me which tribe that is. But think about this. Why would they not discuss which tribe we belong to? Well, I'm convinced that if we knew which tribe we were going to belong to, then we could then match up the name of that tribe to all of the Old Testament scriptures and figure out some pretty amazing things if we knew the name of the tribe that we would belong to. So which tribe is this? The great crowd that owes its salvation to God and Jesus Christ. Because there's nothing that they did to earn their salvation. It's mercy. That's why they owe it to God and to Jesus Christ. It's just through their mercy that we've been taken out of a place of darkness and into his wonderful light, where he can now instruct us about new things. And isn't that new? What tribe do you belong to? If you knew the name of that tribe, you could then go back to the Old Testament and figure out some truly profound things. So if you could do that, then who do you think it was that didn't want you to know what tribe you belonged to? Satan. It's a part of his deception. Because if you could figure out the name of that tribe, now you could freely go to the Old Testament and learn some intensely profound things. Things that are happening right now. And those things would help you to see God's kingdom. And Satan doesn't want you to see it. He doesn't want you to conquer him. He wants you to like the old. He wants you to keep paying attention to the former things that he taught us and deceived us into believing. So a large part of conquering Satan is to completely abandon and pay no attention to the former things that we were convinced to believe. So, what tribe do we belong to? I'm curious. Put it down in the comments section. Because if you really do want to enter God's kingdom, you're going to have to belong to a tribe of Israel. No ifs, ands, or buts. So, why is no one in Christianity talking about this? It's new, isn't it? Okay, so now I'm going to go and show you something else that's new. Christianity and the governing body and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society won't even ask the question, let alone give you an answer. So I'm going to read another thing about the 12 tribes of Israel and ask some questions and see if we can find the answer. Okay, I'm in Matthew chapter 19, and I'll start in verse 27. This is Jesus Christ talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Listen carefully to what he said. Then Peter said to him in reply, "Look, we have left all things and followed you. What actually will there be for us?" Jesus said to them, "Truly, I say to you, in the recreation, what is that? New things? So it's interesting that there's a footnote here for this word, recreation. And if you go and look at the footnote, it tells you some other meanings of the Greek translation here. And do you know what the Greek word can actually mean? Rebirth. Rebirth. So I'm going to read this scripture with that word. I'll start again. Truly, I say to you, in the rebirth, when the Son of Man sits down upon his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also yourselves sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone that has left houses, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or children, or lands, for the sake of my name, will receive many times more, and will inherit everlasting life. So, can you think of any people who might be now undergoing a rebirth with labor pains, undergoing a new birth, who might have left houses, brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or children, or lands, who might receive an amazing blessing, an inheritance reserved in the heavens for them, a great reward. So if we are undergoing this rebirth with labor pains, then we should be asking the same question. What actually will there be for us? But here's something very interesting that I hear no one in Christianity talking about, let alone the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society with its governing body. Jesus Christ told his apostles that they would sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, and anyone that followed him might have the same opportunity. So these are the people that have that opportunity to sit on those thrones. So who knows who it is that will be sitting on any of these 12 thrones? It won't be understood until the end who is sitting on these thrones. And if God's kingdom will arrive during the final part of the days, there's actually going to be one person sitting on a throne. Yeah. I'll be talking about that further down the rabbit hole. So now we need to do some math, because who is Jesus Christ? King of the Jews, the tribe of Judah. Hold on, that's one of the thrones. That is one of the thrones of the 12 tribes. right? So now let's do some math. Jesus Christ told Peter that those who follow him will sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. But Jesus Christ is already King of the Jews, judging the tribe of Judah. So there's a math problem here. If Jesus Christ was always going to be the King of the Jews, the tribe of Judah, then he should have said 11 thrones, right? Because Jesus Christ was King of the Jews, the tribe of Judah. So here's something that no one in Christianity talks about. Will Jesus Christ always be King of the Jews? And what's this glorious throne he'll sit on? So there's a good question, and it's a math problem that's sitting in front of every Christian who reads this scripture, and yet it eludes everyone. So I'm going to say something new. Jesus Christ will not always be King of the Jews. Someone else will. But no one talks about this. Why not? Someone should say something. It's right here. It's math, mathematics. So what's this glorious throne that Jesus Christ will sit on? And who will be King of the Jews? It won't be Jesus Christ anymore. It will be someone else. But no one talks about this. And in fact, you even have, Christians saying, oh, the Jews who are now living in Israel don't realize that Jesus Christ is their king. Well, he won't always be King of the Jews. Someone else will be judging the tribe of Judah. And think of all those Jews who are now resettling in geographic Israel. There's going to be an apostle who will be judging the tribe of Judah. Is that new? Yeah. I don't hear anyone talking about that. So if you're willing to give up the old and do some very simple mathematics, you can start to see that, yeah, all things are new. What I was previously convinced to believe, it's not quite true. And if you really want to begin to see God's kingdom, you'll have to see that someone else will eventually be King of the Jews. So, is that painful? Is that new? All things are new. So, who is Jesus Christ going to be if he's no longer King of the Jews? The answer is in the book of Revelation. Jesus Christ will be King of Kings. He will no longer be King of the Jews. So, do you prefer the old? Or are you able to accept new wine? All it takes is just a little bit of mathematics. Ask the right question, and you're on a journey to actually seeing God's kingdom. Seeing it. So, let's keep going down the rabbit hole and see what other new things we can find. And let me know which tribe you think this great crowd belongs to. A little bit of mathematics and elimination, you should be able to figure it out. And once you know that, there's all kinds of scriptures here in the Old Testament that mention that tribe and will help you on your way to seeing God's kingdom. So let's keep going down the rabbit hole. So here's another question. If we keep reading here, in verse 30, Jesus Christ says this, "But many that are first will be last, and the last first." So, what does that mean? Jesus Christ here is talking about sitting on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So the first will be last, and the last first. To do what? Sit on a throne? And if many are first will be last, then those first apostles, are they the last to sit on the throne? Because remember, Jesus Christ said God's kingdom would be like a mustard seed, that when it was planted, it would grow. So would all of these people sit on a throne at the same time, at the end? Or would it slowly grow? But many that are first will be last, and the last first. So will someone during the final part of the days be the first to sit on one of these thrones? Good question. And is that the mustard seed? And is asking those questions painful? Because if we go on to try and find the answer, could we expect to find that all things are new? And that the old, the former things, we should perhaps not give our consideration to? Good question, huh? So, you can read the book of Revelation and find out that, yep, someone is going to sit on a throne. One person will be first. The last will be first. So there's some homework. Read the book of Revelation again and determine who that is. Who is the first to sit on one of these thrones? Leave your answer down below. Some homework for my audience. Which tribe and who will be the first to sit on one of these 12 thrones? The last will be first. Any wineskins bursting? It's all things are new. See you in video number 22.